Hell yeah.
playing that what if game.
Mhm.
All right, so Adrian, gonna come to you. Give me a what if for your
You,
Mount Rushmore.
you know who my biggest what if is involving, man. My favorite wrestler, Bret the Hitman Hart. My
Mm.
biggest what if, gentlemen. What if Bret Hart did rejected the WCW deal and made WWF work?
Hmm.
That's my biggest what if because that's a whole butterfly effect type move. Because think
Yeah.
about, I mean, not to be morbid, but Owen,
Yeah.
like, would he have been involved in what he was involved in, and multiple angles, and how would have the would would Sean have been the person to lose the title to Austin the next WrestleMania?
Mm.
Is one of the biggest pieces because that Bret, we've talked about it multiple times, that Bret Hart Austin rivalry, that was one of my personal favorites, and I know a lot of wrestling fans agree with me on that.
Hmm.
So when it comes to the main event of WrestleMania 14, would that have been Sean? Would that have been a triple threat of Sean, Bret, Austin? Like, it's just so many what ifs. And obviously, the last point, because this is definitely on the list for us, how much longer would we have gotten Bret Hart? Because obviously, the
Mm.
injury against Goldberg happened in WCW. And, it's one of those things where if he's not wrestling Goldberg, how much longer will we have had Bret Hart in the ring? Will we have been able to see Bret Hart versus Brock Lesnar with a matchup that Bret was absolutely all into? He was like, dude, I would have had the best match ever with Brock Lesnar.
Hmm.
And Bret would have made Lesnar look like a million bucks.
Yep.
So that's getting me thinking, like, when it comes to Austin, like the King of the Ring, where Austin took his ball and went home. Let's put Bret in that spot. Bret would have done business, and we would have had Austin for those those years. He wouldn't have quit or
Yeah.
whatever. Like, it's just making me think like that.
Well,
Does he
even
take the
think
baton in
about
2001, right? Jeez.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
Mm.
if Brett was there, would Brett have been in the spot that they wanted Austin to be in?
mm,
To which Austin rejected and said, "Screw you guys, I'm going home." Like, would we have had an extended amount of of Austin being in WWE or WWF at the time?
I'll throw this at you. Think about what we would have gotten when Sean came back with Brett,
Oh. Whew.
because as good as it was before,
Mm-hmm.
it would have been better after.
Oh, absolutely.
But I'll
Man.
throw something else at you. Does WWE create the Attitude Era if Brett stays? Because the whole Attitude Era was built off of that screw job. Brett screwed Brett, kicked it off.
Mm,
The whole Mr. McMahon stuff, that whole rivalry, how hot that got was because of Austin and McMahon.
right.
You don't get that if Brett stays. Now, it doesn't
Mm.
mean it doesn't look different, but you don't get what we got because the only reason McMahon went down that path is because people rejected his Brett screwed Brett stuff.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. That's a very good point. That's a very good point. Um, I'm still gonna put it on the Rushmore,
Oh,
but I
100%.
definitely I definitely respect that point.
Yeah. And I'm
I
not, and
yeah.
again, I like the fact it's there, but that's what I love the debate, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, dude, I'll throw another one at you. Brett stays, Sean goes to WCW.
Oh, that See, that could totally happen.
That
Come
would've
on,
been-
like his buddy's already there. Like that's easy.
exactly.
I'm like, dude. I mean,
That whole
You know,
DX invasion takes a whole different like
in
angle, right?
in some alternate universe, the NWO was Shawn and the Outsiders,
Not Hogan.
not Hogan.
Now Hogan to be there too. You had to
Yeah.
have Hogan in the beginning.
Yeah,
That
You
would
have
make
to have that in
sense.
the beginning. Yeah,
just
for the turn.
that's about
But
right, man.
Yeah.
I still do think the Attitude Era happens to some extent, just because McMahon's ego and whatnot, and obviously, you know, NWO is going to happen because it was just an idea reformulated in a lot of ways. But man, that whole curveball you just threw, that got me thinking, man.
Yeah.
That's,
That would have been crazy.
what are the
man.
matchups,
Now thinking
man?
about it.
Just
Yeah.
think about it on both sides, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Absolutely.
If you haven't already, like, comment, subscribe, and of course, look us up on socials at Suplex Dinner Club. And be sure to check out our other projects. We talk college football on Dogs versus All Y'all. That's a weekly college football podcast where we don't just talk about the Georgia Bulldogs. We talk about all things college football. The Life and Times pod, which is short for the Life and Times of a Restaurant Lifer podcast, where I have some chill conversations with some cool and interesting people that I've met in my years in the hospitality industry. And of course, check out Talk 'em in the Building. That's a pro wrestling podcast where we solely focus on the promo. We talk about the talkers, we hype the hype man, and we pontificate on the promo. It's a fun project, and if you're a pro wrestling fan, I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. If you're into TV and movie reviews, check out Four Corners Cinema with Ari and Adrian, a podcast where two lifelong pro wrestling fans review film and other forms of media that just so happen to have some of our favorite pro wrestlers. The Suplex Dinner Club family is growing, and I would love for you to be a part of it.